The way that this works is that it's important to define what the behavior looks like. So when you observe it, then you can say, yes, the behavior occurred, or it didn't occur. Right now, we're not talking about the environment or the interaction with the environment. That will come later when we talk about function. Okay, now back to the notion of what does it look like. What does it look like, and this time I promise not to scream here, what does it look like when I ring the bell? Okay, I rang the bell, but what did that look like? Well, in this case, there was a downward finger movement, downward arm movement, because my whole arm moved, not just my finger. and that's what it looked like. But it could be that I rang the bell, but it looked different. There was a different topography. So let's look at some different topographies for bell ringing behavior. See, the behavior is bell ringing, but now we're getting into what's the topography of bell ringing behavior. And in this case, well, it could be that. But the bell ringing behavior could have this topography instead, like I hitting it with the back side of the hand, or hey, I could hit it with the full palm, like that, or I could hit it with the side, like that, a karate chop kind of motion. That's what it looks like. Or hey, maybe I can hit it with the back of my arm, forearm, or I could hit it with the front of my forearm, or the side of my forearm. Oops, let me fix my bell here. Or I could hit it with my elbow, like that. Now, I think we would all agree that even though the topography changed, in all those instances, the behavior was that I rang the bell. And you might not think much about whether I rang it this way, or rang it this way, or rang it this way. But, hey, the behavior occurred. I rang the bell. But how did he go about, how did Jose ring the bell? What was the form? What was the topography? Is that I did it this way. Now again, it might not be. It might look a little odd if I do it this way. But how about if I do it this way? I just rang the bell again. And here, I'll try it again. And again. And again. I'm ringing the bell. Now I'm ringing the bell with my nose. Now, I'm still ringing the bell, but this time the form is a little weird. Somebody who saw me ringing the bell this way might say things like, wow, that guy's weird. Maybe he thinks he's a chicken. Maybe he's chicken man. Woo, 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 chicken man, and start making fun of me. Or, hey, or refer me to some psychiatrist or psychologist for some kind of treatment, because maybe I'm a little disturbed that I'm going around ringing the bell with my nose. Also, nobody would probably want to touch the bell after I rang it with my nose, you know. Ooh, boy, I'm not going anywhere near that bell after he rang it with his nose. How gross can you get, man? No way. So sometimes the form of the behavior, the topography, gets you in trouble. Because bell ringing, hey, he rang the bell, so what? As long as I ring it in the appropriate context, that might be okay. Like, the context is, I'm at a hotel, and there's a sign there that says ring bell for service, and nobody's around, and I ring the bell. So if I ring the bell like that, or ring it like that, or ring it like that, nobody's going to see what it looks like because they're far away. But if there's another guest waiting around and seeing and observing me, they might see how I ring the bell. And if I ring the bell like this, they won't even comment on it. But if I ring the bell like this, you bet they're going to talk about me. And they're going to say nasty things about me. Or, wait, that guy's a little strange. Maybe they pulled their children far away from this weird guy. They don't want their children anywhere near this weird chicken man. The chicken man is coming. But anyway, so that's the point I'm trying to make here, that you've got to sometimes look at both. Here's the behavior, bell ringing behavior, but hey, here's the topography, the form of the behavior, how I went about ringing the bell. I'm going to give you other examples of this at another point in time, but for now, let's just do that one. Let me give you something else about topography. Magnitude. Magnitude is a property of behavior closely associated with topography. In fact, when you define behavior, sometimes you need to take the magnitude of the response into consideration. And sometimes things do not happen unless they occur with a certain force. Now, the example of bell ringing behavior, if I just do this motion, the bell might not ring. I might have to hit it like that for the bell to ring. Because if I just lower my hand slowly, well, hey, this time it rang a little bit. But I could do it in such a way that is, I don't do it fast enough, I don't do it with enough force to make the bell ring. So again, the same thing with, let's say, you're specifying the behavior of screaming. Well, what is screaming? Well, in order for something to be called a scream, you have to get to a certain decibel level. So you would probably not say that this was screaming behavior if I went, ah. You might not call that a scream. Will you call that a scream? Well, I'm not going to go any louder on you here and blow your eardrums out. But again, for it to be called a scream, you need to have a certain magnitude, a certain force, a certain decibel level. Same thing for, let's say, face slapping. Watch my hands move. Okay, I am moving my hands gradually towards my face, and I'm making contact with the face. Well, you are not likely to call that a face slap, right? And if you were in the room here with me, you would not hear any kind of sound if I just went like that. Now, with how much force do you have to hit in order for it to be called a face slap? Okay, well, again, we specify this better by examples versus non-examples. And of course, I'm not going to slap my face, but you would call that a face slap. You would call that a face slap. You might even call that a face slap, and you can hear it, but you wouldn't call that a face slap, would you? Or maybe you would. It depends. But those are some considerations, kind of like a definitional property, a topographical property that you have to include when you're describing the behavior in terms of its topography. You need to describe sometimes the force involved, the magnitude, the intensity, in order to get to what the behavior is really like. Okay, so that's that